Hello, everyone. Welcome. MTL Sports here, episode 162. NBA playoffs are continuing. We're in the conference finals for the West and the East. We'll go over predictions, of course, for each of the conference finals. Plus, we got to go over the losers of the last round. So, of course, we got the Cavs, the Celtics, the Nuggets, and the Warriors. So, we'll do their season recaps, plus a little bit of NFL news to go over. So, all that being said, guys, stay tuned. We're back. We got some NFL news to go over before we really get into this NBA stuff here. This is actually kind of breaking news. Colts owner, CEO Jim Irsay dies at 65 years old. It's just was announced a couple minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. They won the Super Bowl, I think, Super Bowl 41 or 42? When they beat the Bears, right?
The Bears.
Remember when Devin Hester took the opening kickoff right to the house?
Yes, really 7-0 lead and couldn't hold it.
Pretty iconic Super Bowl, to say the least. We don't know who's going to take over, but Jim Irsay has had some questionable decision making at the Colts, but sad to see one of the owners go. Actually, kind of young when you think people live into the 80s and 90s now.
Just a little bit, but you can at least say they got him one title.
Yeah, it's a lot more than a lot of other owners out there. Moving on, we got the tush push. It is, living another day, or at least another season. I think the vote was 22-10. They needed 24 votes, but so they were 2 votes short. Jason Kelce was there petitioning the other owners, along with their owner, as to why you should vote against the proposal. But hey, 22 teams. I mean, they're probably getting next year. Maybe they'll get some more data. Maybe there'll be an actual injury next year, and that'll push the other 2 teams to vote in favor to ban it. But what are your thoughts of the tush push living another year?
Honestly, I think it will be stopped eventually because every team is just going to get themselves some guy to put at the line who can just bench like Jalen Hurts can. Or it's going to take a significant injury to Jalen Hurts. So, like, if Jalen Hurts was to just, I don't know, per se, rupture his leg in half from trying to squat the line, and the line coming over just too much on his body. But or centers start going down, or defensive, or what could really happen is owners start telling the guys on the defense who are in the middle of the scrum to start playing like they get injuries. That could be a big one to sway it, but it'll get banned eventually.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Might be next year, might be the year after, but in the next 2 or 3 years, it's probably gone. But I mean, they put their data out. They said, like, between the Bills and the Eagles, that it's like an 87% success rate. Everyone else in the league is like 70, like low 70s. So it's definitely more of like a personnel thing. I mean, you got good offensive lines. You got teams that are pretty much perfected, and then everyone else is just trying to copycat, but they can't do it to the same degree of success. So it's really just a combination of the teams hating, and they don't really get the personnel to do it. So they're just trying to punish the 2 teams that are really good at it. So that's my kind of take on it. What else do we have in NFL? I guess we gotta go over this. The flag football proposal got passed, and the onside kick got passed as well, where you can now declare onside kick anytime you're trailing. I don't know how much better. I mean, it's obviously better, but I don't know how much better it actually is, because you still gotta get in the formation, and So no more surprise onside kicks, but also you don't have to wait to the fourth quarter anymore. I don't know. What's your take on it, Lawrence?
I don't know. It still allows a team. What it's gonna propose is teams having like a kicker who specializes in just kicking onsides,
Mm-hmm.
and then keeping him on your roster. You would waste a roster spot, or if you can find a hybrid for like a punter that's like a mediocre punter, but he has this insane ability to hit onside kicks. Per se, like a Pat McAfee was. That kind of adds a new development in that game because now I don't have to wait until I'm trailing in the fourth to do it. I can do it straight out of halftime, and honestly, it's either going to change my game or it's going to keep writing what I already thought was going down. I'm down by 21 to towards 28-7 at halftime. I shouldn't have to wait to onside kick it in the fourth. Let me do it right now. I can go straight ahead. They're gonna get the ball back. If they get the ball back, and I can't stop them, they're gonna go 35-7. So might as well make it easier for them and give myself a quick 7.
Yeah, I get
I get,
I can get behind that. That makes sense to me.
but you gotta have
Um,
the confidence in your personnel to be able to do that. Comes back to personnel.
yeah, another personnel thing. Totally. Um, that's pretty much it. Besides the flag football, so I think it was unanimous. All 32 teams voted in favor. I know there's already people that kind of do the flag football for the national team, but I'm sorry, some of y'all got to move over. If Chase and Jettas and Lamar say they want to play, or Travis Hunter, they say they want to play. Y'all gotta y'all gotta give up your spots. What are you thinking? I don't think those people that do this all the time are gonna have many spots left.
I think that could be a thing, but I also believe that it's going to be the NFL. Owners are going to tell those guys, "Hey, do you want to participate in that?" And somehow you have a fluke injury, we're not paying you, and that's probably what's going to come down to. You know, Jamar Chase probably would want to play in it, but when you're the highest paid wide receiver, and then the Bengals tell you, "Well, if you get injured in it, you're no longer because we're literally just going to avoid that because every guy has it written in their contract that they can't go out and you know I wouldn't say do strenuous activity, but like do anything that could be harmful to your body that would be harmful to their brand or name. So like in
Hmm.
NASCAR per se, when Chase Elliott was going, he went snow skiing like like on some little trip, and then he couldn't drive for like the whole season because he fractured his leg. They didn't pay him for the whole season because you didn't drive. It's just going to come down to the same way. They're going to write the contracts the same way.
Yeah. I think there's something in the proposal where they are going to give teams some salary cap relief if unfortunate injury happens. So I don't really know what that means. I guess we gotta wait and see what that is in a couple years. Now to the NBA. Of course, we got the conference finals going on right now. Game one last night, Thunder Wolves. Thunder won. It was pretty even at halftime. Then they kind of took off in the third and going into the fourth. And then right now we got the Knicks and Pacers. So let's make some quick predictions. Starting in the West, we already saw game one. How are you feeling after game one, Lawrence? Are you Team Thunder? Are you Team Timberwolves? Which team are you taking to the NBA Finals out the West?
So I already have too many bets in, and I've already said it too many times that I think the T Wolves are going to get out of the West. And just because of game one, just because of the way it ended, I'm not going to deny it was a little rough and it was disheartening. But I'm going to keep with the Timberwolves, and I'm going to give them in 7. I think it's going to be a tough one, but I feel like they have a chance. I think there's flaws in the Thunder, and maybe you can exploit them a few times. That's all you got to figure out. It's like you got to figure out the same way the Nuggets did it. You can do it in terms of different players doing different things. Um, but I'm going to need Anthony Edwards to do a little bit more because he didn't even get 20.
Yeah, 18 points in the first game. I can't get down with that either. That's why I'm going Thunder. I'm going with my preseason pick to come out the West. I had the Thunder and Cavs. Obviously, the Cavs aren't possible this year, but I'm gonna keep riding the Thunder. I like what I saw out of Game 1. They were down going into halftime, then they kind of put their foot in the gas going into the second half and kind of showed you who they were the whole season. So I'm gonna go Thunder in 7. I don't want to be disrespectful to the Timberwolves. I think the Thunder are gonna mess around and kind of play the series how they did the last one with the Nuggets. They probably let Minnesota get a game. They probably let them get game 2. Probably let them get game 3, and then we're just going to keep doing this back and forth. I think it's going to play out the same, and then they end up winning at home in Game 7. So I got Thunder. SGA just named the MVP of the league. Rightfully so. He deserved it. Honestly, he deserved it last year. So I'm going to ride with my guy SGA in the Thunder. In the East, we got the Knicks. We got the Pacers. They're playing right now. Who are you feeling, Lawrence? You got your team Pacers, your team Knicks, Big Body Brunson, or team Knicks?
I ain't even gonna think about it. I'm team Knicks. I bet on them last year, got some good wins off of them. I bet on consistently this year, got some good wins off of them. Honestly, I caught them in the Celtics series before even any of the, I wouldn't want to say, sad things happen. I mean, things happen, but until the shenanigans went down with injury to Tatum, they were still up and they were still doing hot.
Yeah.
And don't it fool you. Boston took one. They took one after he got injured.
Yeah, they look good in Game 5. The Knicks kind of laid an egg. I think. I don't think everyone saw that coming. I definitely saw that coming.
I think they wanted to win at home.
That's 100% possible. I definitely could see that coming from these group of Knicks players. But yeah, I'm gonna go Knicks. I'm gonna go Knicks in 6. I think the Pacers, they have enough to win 2. Can the Pacers win 3? I don't think so. Not against the Knicks. I think this is a good matchup for them. I think the Pacers, they were a good matchup for the Cavs. I think the Cavs just don't, on paper you think they line up well against the Pacers, but then once you get into the action, the Pacers are just too fast paced, too high tempo, ball moving too much. Combine that with some of the injuries to the Cavs, and we know their playoff deficiencies. Yeah, it's not a good matchup. But the Knicks, I think, they can play fast or play slow, and they got all the talent in the world, especially on the wings. They got all the wing defenders, just like the Pacers do. So they'll probably keep those wing players like Nembhard and Naismith and Siakam in check. As to last series, the Cavs pretty much only have wing defenders. They really don't have any. I mean, Strus is okay, and Hunter is more of an offensive guy, so they really don't have wing defenders, to be honest. So, yeah, it's a better matchup this time. I'm going Knicks in 6.
I like you. I like this.
All right, next up, we got the losers, starting with the Cavs. The Cavs, I was high on, Lawrence. I think I said that early when they won like what? Didn't they win like 15 or 16 in a row or something like that to start the season?
Yeah.
Once I saw that, I was like, okay, they're gonna be pretty good. About the 2/3 way of the season mark, they started tripping a little bit over themselves. They got into kind of a losing streak, but then they kind of dug themselves out of a hole, got on a good run to finish the season. So I still was liking them to come out the East, but they're losing the second round again. Donovan Mitchell hasn't been out the second round in either conference. So he's just basically Joel Embiid in both conferences, even though he's had great teams around him. New coach this year, no JB Bickerstaff. He went to Detroit. We saw what he did. You got who's their coach? Kenny Atkinson this year, the assistant from Golden State. Got them the number one seed in the East. They brought in Hunter from a trade. So basically, it's the same roster, but you get the same roster, different coach, same result. So that tells me it's the roster, Lawrence. So what do you think of the Cavs this season? What do they need to do to maybe shake things up? Maybe whatever they need to do to get past the second round next year.
I think they just need to, like, remember last year there was like that beef that Garland had with Mitchell because Garland wasn't the guy anymore, or like
Yeah,
wasn't the guy, whatever that little minor riffraff was. It feels like you can kind of, I would say, move two pieces. I mean, I do think Evan Mobley is kind of is better per se than Jarrett Allen. And I think I would, in my personal opinion, I'd keep Mobley and Mitchell, and I'd move off from Garland and Allen. And I feel like I can get a good pull for that. I don't have to lose out on everything just because of that. But I gotta shake it up a little bit because we realize that what we have here, it doesn't get it done.
yeah, no, I agree. It's just like I said, same roster pretty much, different coach. The new coach got more out of this group, but you still get the same result in the playoffs. So it's definitely the roster at this point. The GM, whoever the GM is, got to do some work. Yeah, I agree. They got to get rid of Garland and or Jared Allen. You probably get more for Garland. Honestly, you probably get a bigger return on investment. Um, I mean, I don't know who you move him for. I think what they need is probably a better 3-and-D guy. Like Struess is okay. They got that other guy, Sam Merrill. He steps in sometimes and starts at that 3 spot. And of course, you got DeAndre Hunter, who steps in and plays the 3 as well. So just gotta get a good wing. Maybe go get Cam Thomas from the Nets. I feel like that's probably a better option than those 3. Maybe you trade Garland for Cam Thomas from the Nets or someone like that. Um, their cap situation is kind of fucked, to be honest. So I don't know if they can really go out there and make a big splash. Like go like getting Giannis. I don't really see that. That their finances are kind of all over the place. So I don't see that. But they got to start with a 3-and-D wing in the starting lineup, and then you can probably just plug in a point guard from somewhere. Like maybe you'll get Tyus Jones, plug him in. He's gonna be cheap. Let it still be the Donovan Mitchell show, and just have Mitchell and Mobley kind of run the show. Get a decent center instead of Allen. Maybe someone that can step out, shoot some jumpers, some threes. But you gotta switch it up. You can't run back the same team. You just can't do that. I think they have most of their picks. Let's see. They're in the second apron, yeah. So their picks are all messed up too. So yeah, it's not looking good for them. But maybe they can turn it around with trading Garland and Allen. Next up, we got the Celtics. Celtics losers to the Knicks in 6. Tatum went down with the Achilles tear. Very unfortunate. He's probably out next year, don't you think, Lawrence? He's probably out.
Yeah,
They
he's
have a
got to
new
be out the whole season.
owner that's coming in. Reports are they're kind of cheap. They're looking to shed some of that salary. I think between the payroll and then like the luxury tax, they're gonna be at like $500 million in salary and taxes next year. So they're gonna move some people. Who those people are, we don't know. But how would you grade their season, and how do you think they're gonna shape the roster going into next year, knowing your best player arguably isn't gonna be there, and you got to make some moves so that you can be better prepared for the future?
Quite honest, I think you let some of the old heads walk, and then you let it kind of be a year of building young talent, so that when I get my star back, he's got something to surround him with. That's a little bit more this century. I wouldn't want to say this century. That's a little aggressive. Something that's a little bit, I don't know, lively. See, that's aggressive too. I'm just talking about the Al Horford and honestly the
Mm.
Porzingis as well. Um, I just feel like you can do just a tad bit better. Honestly, developing a big in that 1 year, because that way my boy Tatum, even when he comes back from his ACL, or no, sorry, not ACL, Achilles, um, he's not gonna have to get 8 rebounds minimum every game anymore. Like, come on, with my boy back and like just start. Let's start with the shooting first, Then he develops everything else coming back from injury. I would just like to see that, like develop some young guys that you find, and then you think are worth it, and then see what kind of magic you can spur here or spur.
Yeah, they definitely gotta shed the salary. You might sneak into the playoffs with the roster without Tatum. You're not gonna be the 1 seed, the 2 seed, or the 3 seed. You're not gonna be in any of the top 4 seeds. You might sneak into the back half just because of how bad the East is, depending on how some of these bottom teams in the East, if they make moves, they draft well, et cetera, et cetera. So they'll probably still be in the playoff mix as long as Jaylen Brown doesn't get hurt and the rest of the crew is healthy too. But you got to decide who you're going to move off of. Probably start with Al Horford unless he plays for the vet minimum. Then you're probably like, all right, he can probably fill in for Tatum or just be your spot big. For Zingis with his long COVID, he's probably first on the chopping block. You see right here, ESPN says that they can pretty much only move him to Brooklyn, and not send a player back as Brooklyn. So, but they probably have to attach a pick or two with that. I don't know if they're really about that when they're going to tank next year or be very really bad. So they might be in the back half of the lottery like the Mavs and maybe somehow pull off the number 1 pick, but um, don't know if they really do that. So you got to find a way to move Porzingis in his long COVID. Probably move off of Drew Holiday. He's getting up there in age. I know you just signed him to an extension, but these older guards, once they get older past 34, 35, they really decline, especially defensively. I mean, look at Kyle Lowry. That's a great example. Um, so you probably move off of him, keep Derek White. You got Peyton Pritchard. You can probably move him to the starting lineup. He's a way cheaper option. You lose your defense, but you get better shooting probably. And ESPN saying moving Sam Hauser. I don't remember his contract being that bad. So you probably keep him. And just whoever else makes the most money. But I don't see them moving Derek White. But I do see them moving Porzingis and Holiday, and those are the two pieces that people will actually want. I don't know if a team will really want Sam or maybe Pritchard. I think teams will want Pritchard, don't you think? But any of the other players, they probably don't really have the taste for. So, but they got to at least get under the second apron, because I think if they don't get under that, their draft picks are frozen going forward. So they can't have that, and they can't afford to pay that big tax bill either, especially if their owners are going to be cheap. So they got a lot to think about. Who do you think they're going to move off of?
Hmm. I think definitely it's guaranteed an Al Horford.
Okay.
I think Porzingis is also gone. I think you reimagine what you can do in that position, like just a whole flip.
Mm,
Um, then moving from there, 'cause, like my thing is like I feel like you would want to get like a Miles Turner in the door, especially if they're the Knicks. Like that should be something that you want to do. Um, See that for the Celtics for me, I feel like outside of that move, it's just a whole lot of nothing that you need to do. You don't really need to do anything. You should be content with where you are. Yeah, we have to wait another season, but it is what it is. No one asked
yep.
for it. Nobody wanted it, but you just got to move on and just accept the cards you were dealt.
Yeah, I think you're right with that one. Next up, we got the Warriors. The Warriors, Steph. he had that grade 1 hamstring in game 3. He was out for
Mm-hmm.
most of the series. Jimmy Buckets, they traded for him so he could kind of rise and shine during these situations. He didn't put up 9 shots one game, 14 the other. So not really an aggressive, Jimmy Buckets we've seen in the past. Kuminga, they got Kuminga. He's a restricted free agent. They're looking to sign and trade him if he doesn't take a big discount, basically, is what I'm hearing. So, with all that being said, Lawrence, how would you grade the Warriors season, and how do they kind of maneuver this summer? Do they sign and trade Kuminga? Do they entertain Giannis? Do you trade Jimmy even though you just got him? Do you trade Jimmy for Giannis and some picks, or how do you kind of foresee them kind of operating this summer?
I see them just kind of cleaning up what they need to clean up. I don't think they get rid of Jimmy. I think they give up
Mm-hmm.
some of that depth though. Like Kaminga, he's gone. They have to accept that one. For what you're gonna have to pay him and what you need to get out of him, you just suffice with Butler. So you're gonna have to figure that out at a different point in your season or in your rebuild. It's not even a rebuild, just your retool. Sorry, better word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I again, this is like a whole another team of like you don't do a whole lot of anything. You got to let Steph come back. You're not going to get rid of Draymond. Let's be real. You won all those titles with him. Um, at the end of the day, whether people say it or not, he's Steph Curry's guy. So like, that's not going to change anything. Like, we're not moving past that one. Um, I think this is another team where you you kind of just let things ride off into the sunset with it.
Yeah, I think you trade for Jimmy. I think you gotta ride it out. He has 2 more years left at I think 60 and 62 million for the last 2 years. So I think you just ride it out. You probably do got to get rid of Kaminga. Probably see what you can get back in some type of sign and trade. It probably won't be
Well,
much, but
I
it's
think I
something.
think you can. I think like a team like the Hornets would be stupidly desperate enough to, really beg for a Kaminga type player, thinking that it can like really revamp, change, and completely um, fix up their offense or fix up. I would say their offense because like you can see what he can do in the playoffs, but like they're never
Mm-hmm.
going to give him a chance to have a shining moment like that because they just simply won't make it to the playoffs and waste kind of like his youth at that point.
Yeah, that could be a destination. Him, Brandon Miller, LaMelo, and whoever they draft. That could be a good young core. Definitely could see that. Um, so yeah, Kaminga's probably gone. I don't see him resigning. Why would you resign when your coach benches you basically the last half of the season? And he only plays you when Steph is out. I mean, I'd be pissed. I wouldn't want to play for him anymore. No matter how much he says he can mend defense, I wouldn't do that. Um, you see, they got all these free agents. A lot of these guys that didn't even play, so I'm not even worried about that. But um, yeah, I think you probably entertain Giannis if he says Golden State. You probably entertain it. Jimmy might be the one that has to go just because of salary cap implications, and you're probably gonna lose all your picks and your young players. But hey, Giannis and Steph, and Draymond. That's a pretty decent trio in the West. I think that could be a little higher upside than Jimmy, Steph, and Draymond. So you probably entertain that if that ever comes to fruition. But other than that, I really don't see the moves that they can make. I think you just got to ride it out. Hope Steph gets better. Hope Jimmy doesn't decline too much next season, and hope you get a better seed. Maybe next year, a full year of training camp, a healthier Jimmy, healthier Steph, healthier Draymond. Maybe you're a top 4 seed instead of a bottom 4 seed. I think that's probably the best you can wish for.
Yeah,
Um, Last but not least, the Nuggets lost in 7. They lost game 7. And they get their ass kicked. That's all I gotta say. They got their ass kicked. Uh, Jokic, when asked, is the team good enough to compete? He said, obviously no, because we lost. So he's not happy. You gotta give it up to the coach. I forgot who the coach's name is, but he won a series. I said, hey, they probably have enough fight to win one series, but I don't think they can win two. Oh, David Adelman. Um, I don't think they had enough to win two series, so you gotta give it up to him. They probably will most likely hire him. I'm assuming. He won a playoff series for them. They'll probably rehire him, but other than that, between the no draft picks and the players they have on the roster, I really don't know how they're going to move. So, what do you think, Lawrence? How do they kind of move this off season to kind of appease Jokic and get him to stay on this team and not ask for a trade?
I think the main way to do that is to take him back to the team that won, and the team that he used to win had a lot of depth. And I think you have to find a way to use, I don't want to say old, drawn out vet maxes, but you're going to have to find some vets that want to come play. And you got to say, when you're getting these vets, it's Jokic. You're playing with a 3-time MVP. But that's how you're going to have to redo it. You're going to have to give him a bunch of vets that he can entrust and go through the season with. He's not going to want to, at this point, like Aaron Gordon, didn't he go to his home country and in Serbia and ride his horses and hang out with him? Can't let him lose his Aaron Gordon. So, there's got to be some team out there that wants to overpay for Christian Braun, to give him a little bit of extra money in your wallet to go out and get a vet. Maybe I don't think you let Jamal Murray go. I don't think you'd want him to leave. I think the one thing he could go away with is Michael Porter, which at this point you're gonna have to take an L on that one because everyone's saying that guy sucks.
Yeah, and that's the problem they run into. Like, it's pretty obvious you got to move off of MPG now. He had one good year, and that's when they won the finals last year. You kind of saw the inconsistencies, and then this year you definitely saw it. I mean, he did not play well in both series this year, the first round and second round. So I think you try to move off of him. I don't know who's going to bite. You don't really have picks, so I don't really see how you move him. Maybe they can trick somebody into doing it, but that's going to be tough. You got to find someone to come off the bench and give you some better consistency than Russ, because Russ was hit or miss. Either Russ was really good or Russ was really bad. That's kind of been his motto the past couple of years. So you need someone better than that. I don't know if you bring him back. You probably do, but you got to find someone a little bit better so he doesn't have to be in that role. I know they love these rookies on these cheap deals, and they love playing them a lot, but it just hasn't been working. I think they got to move from that motto. Maybe the new GM can find better ways to maybe package picks and try to pick them to the late first round instead of picking these guys at 50 and 60. I don't really. There's a reason why these guys are being picked in the 60s and the 50s. Like, they're not good. Why are we making them play major minutes? It's not really fair to them. It's not fair to the rest of the team. When Jokic is not out there, the team looks awful. So, and this is part of the problem. The bench is just bad. So they got to find a way to address the bench, plus kind of beef up the starting lineup. I think you even look to trade Aaron Gordon if you can split his contract into 2 contracts and get some better players. I think you even got to do that. What do you think?
I think personally they would renegotiate his contract before they would move on from him. I just think that if you watch bench talk, or you pay attention to the team as it interacts, he's close with Aaron Gordon. You don't let the main guy's guy go.
That's very true. It's probably something you have to talk to Jokic about before you pull the trigger on that. But I'm sure Jokic wouldn't mind if they move Michael Porter Jr. They
Yeah,
still
I
got
think
some
he
young
could.
players. Oh, go ahead.
I think he could sleep at night if that was gone.
They still got some young players. Peyton Watson's not bad. That Julian Strother kid, he seems like he's like a little mini Michael Porter Jr. So maybe you give him those minutes. Deron Holmes, you remember he played in A10. He played for Dayton, right? I think Deron Holmes played for Dayton. They picked him last year in the back half of the draft. He was hurt. I think he tore his ACL, so maybe he can develop into something for them. But yeah, the Nuggets. It should be interesting to see what their new GM does. When they eventually hire one as well. So we'll have to see. Other than that, that's the NBA offseason reviews of the four latest of the losers. We'll probably continue next week with some of these lottery teams. Start looking at the Mavs, Spurs, teams like that. Other than that, Lawrence, anything else before we head on out?
No, I'm going to need the Knicks to tighten up, but that's it.
That's all I got, folks. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching on Spotify or watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, and all other platforms. This is episode 162, MTL Sports Podcast, and we will see you next week. Peace.